Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in to my channel where we talk about psychological concepts, the ways that psychology can help all of us be better people and achieve our potential. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about money. I grew up on Section 8. We got food stamps and lived in a subsidized apartment for most of my childhood and all of my adolescence. I remember there being a particular event that happened to me where I recognized and became fully aware that we were poor, and I made a conscious decision that I was not going to be poor when I got older. I will tell you that it was pretty difficult, and I had some poor years along the way, but the decision that I made was that I was going to go after my education. That education was my way out of poverty, and now here I am, Dr. John Rich. What I happen to know about poverty from a research standpoint is that poverty is stressful. I know that Martin Luther King has said that poverty is violent. Poverty affects every area of our life. And even if you're not poor, financial stress can make it more difficult to parent your children in positive ways. It can make it more difficult for you to have a successful marriage because the weight of money problems is always on your mind. So I wanted to talk with you about budgeting and the importance of getting control of your money. This is a service that I provide. I've provided it to a number of people in my close circle, and I'm offering it to you if you're interested. I'd be happy to sit down electronically through Skype or some other means, Zoom call or something, to talk a little bit about your finances. Because when your finances are out of control, worse when they're unconscious, they can really grab hold of your brain and sap your energy. So I want you to think about a hypothetical math problem. Let's say that a person, we'll call her Gertrude. That's my go-to weird name. So we'll call her Gertrude, and Gertrude makes $50,000 a year. And she's not aware of it, but she spends $60,000 a year. I want to ask you, first of all, how much is she falling behind every year? She's $10,000 behind every single year, probably racking up credit card debt. And when those credit card bills come, and she sees the 18 to 30% interest rate that's being tacked onto her money, she may very well start to feel like she's falling into a hole that she can't climb out of. Now I want you to think of the same math problem. She makes $50,000 a year. She spends $60,000 a year, but she's not paying attention to her finances. She's just spending money the way that she wants to. How far in the hole is she then? It's still $10,000 a year, right? Like, it doesn't matter whether you're paying attention or not paying attention. Math is math. And so I know from working with people on their budgets and their finances that a lot of times the reasons that people don't pay attention to them is because they're scared of what the truth might hold. And what I would say to you is the math is the math. It doesn't matter whether you're paying attention to it or not paying attention to it. If you're spending more than you're bringing in, you are slowly falling behind. The truth of the matter is, I don't know the exact statistic, but a majority of people in the United States are actually in quite a bit of debt. They're falling behind every single year. I think it's even 40% of Americans don't even have a $1,000 emergency savings fund so that when the car breaks or the roof starts to leak or there's an emergency medical bill, there are any other options than going back to that credit card. And I don't want to offend anybody here, but if you go to a country like Bangladesh, you're going to see people who are truly impoverished. And asking them to get control of their finances may be extremely difficult. Their job prospects are pretty low. And so it's not that they're in poverty because they've made bad decisions. They just had the bad luck to be born into whatever circumstance they're in. But I would go out on a limb and say that the vast majority of Americans who are in debt and experiencing financial stress are doing so not because they don't have any options, but because they're not paying attention. Think about your cell phone bill. How much are you spending on your cell phone bill? $100 a month? $120 a month? How much is your cable bill? How much is Netflix? How much is Hulu? How much do you spend on going out to eat as opposed to eating in? What's your car payment? Are you driving around in some fancy car and you've borrowed against the car on some kind of 6 or 7 year loan? You're still going to owe money when it starts to fall apart. I'm not trying to take away all the pleasures that you might want to experience in your life, but I am trying to say that at a certain point in the mind of any reflective person, there has to be the thought that, holy shit, if I don't get control of my finances, I'm going to end up not being able to retire. I'm going to end up one step away from some kind of crisis that's really going to put me under the bus. I don't want that to be your situation. I want you to pay attention. I want you to start looking at your finances. If you were to come to me and ask me to consult with you about your money, one of the things that I would do is I would tell you to take 1 month where you were just writing down everything that you brought in and everything that went out, and just take a look at the situation. And then from there we could start talking about how we might adjust the budget to be able to adapt to reality. But I've also discovered that a good number of people who might say, where did the money all go? Find out that when they start paying attention, that their expenses go down. I even had somebody who used to spend $100 a month on Uber rides, and he told me that as soon as he started paying attention to how much he was spending, he didn't even feel the sacrifice. He just started to realize, like, there are times where I can take the train instead of taking the Uber. And even though the Uber gets me home a little bit earlier, the fact that the money is on my mind is making me pay attention. And so people who start to pay attention to their budgets, in my experience, usually end up finding money that they didn't know was there. So basically what I'm saying is, even if you don't come to me, you need somebody in your life, whether it's you or an outsider, to be an ass kicker. You need somebody to hold your feet to the fire and make you pay attention. I know that it could be scary to pay attention if you haven't been for so long, but remember that math problem. The math is still the math, whether you're looking at it or not. So if you want to take control of your finances, maybe today is the day. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out my website, drjohnrich.com. Subscribe to this channel or share the link to this video if you found it helpful. If you're interested in talking a little bit about your budget, send me an email, info@drjohnrich.com. And as always, don't forget my new book, Positive Parenting, which can be found on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you next week.